We have our issues with immigration here. When you were at the European Union, that became a huge issue. A lot of migrants coming in from Syria and from Africa. How does that affect an economy? I suppose it depends on each country, but in that case.
Well, handled well, it can have a very positive effect on the economy. I remember in 2015, the high water mark of refugee crisis in Europe. Many people were predicting in this country that the EU would fall apart. And there were a lot of strains on the decision-making machinery, but it didn't fall apart. And in fact, if you look today at how many of those refugees have been getting jobs in the German economy, the performance of Germany has been much better than anybody predicted. Not wonderful, but pretty good. So Germany actually has been using the labor force to its advantage and bringing those people up to sort of their skill base and their languages as well.
Well, you talk about strains. Economic strain on the economy, on obviously services that the government provides. As a devil's advocate, because you hear this from people, the immigrants come in and they're just there because they want the services. They want the freebies and the giveaways. What do you say to that?
Well, in some cases there have been abuses, but look, Europe faces an enormous demographic problem. There is the inversion of the age pyramid that's dramatic in some countries, particularly in Italy and particularly in Spain. Europe does need manpower. Of course, it needs skilled manpower as well, but they've done a pretty good job in bringing skills and increasing the skill levels of many of these refugees. So on the whole, I think they've done quite well.
Let's dovetail to why this market looks as good as it does right now, and you string it together with some great days last week. We've got the Dow up 103, all of the green on the screen. Much of it has to do directly with the news that the Chinese are coming here to once again start talks up with the American trade representatives, and perhaps we won't see another $16 billion in tariffs on U.S. on Chinese goods kick in later this week. You dealt with a lot of trade deals on the European side. How should this administration approach this conversation this time around with the Chinese?
That's a great question. I believe in what works. I don't believe in partisan politics, particularly in trade. I believe in what works and not in theater. Unfortunately, I think a lot of what has been happening has been theater. Why do I say that? I don't believe in short-term declarations about buying more of our products, whether it's soybeans or other things. We need to address the structural issues, the unfair trade practices of many countries around the world. And what we need to do is to work with our allies, above all the European Union and the Canadians and the Mexicans and the Japanese, in attacking these unfair trade practices through existing organizations like the WTO that does work despite all of its failings. You know, we win 91% of all the cases we bring into the WTO. That's what we should be doing. We should not be holding a gun to the heads of our allies and threatening them. We should be working with them.
But China continues to cheat. What's the answer with China?
Work with our allies, bring legal cases, and then implement those decisions.
Against China.
Against whoever is implementing unfair trade practices. Look, when I was at my post in Brussels, I had the opportunity to work with some of our leading businesses. I believe that our manufacturers, our ranchers, and our farmers need a better deal. Our trade deficit's going up, not down. I believe in results, and I don't see yet the results occurring.
Good to see you. Thank you so much,
Thank you so much.
Ambassador Anthony Gardner. We appreciate you coming in.